I was able to make a few $100s here and there off of digital products or challenges or whatever. But there came a point in time when I could feel on the inside like there was something more, but I couldn't figure out what it was. And so I was like, God, you know what? I'm just going to stop going live. I'm going to stop with all of this, and I need to hear from you. And for like 2 weeks, I don't think I posted anything. I don't think I did anything, but I went into prayer and fasting. And I was like, if this is what you want me to do, you're going to have to show me how to do it. And so I was out running in my neighborhood, because I run. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, teach people how to write their books and build their business. And I was like, nobody's going to pay me for that. Teach people how to write books and build their business. And I was like, okay, well, nothing else that I've been doing works, so I'll try it. But the crazy thing about it is people had been coming to me anyway. I was getting people.
After you launched your book?
After I launched my book, but not just after, even months after. Like, people were asking me, not just, how did you publish your book, but how did you write it? Can you help me? And I was just like, no. Right. And so my husband found out that all these people were asking me, and I was just turning them away. I was like, because I'm focused on relationships. He was just like, Jasmine, they trying to pay you to do this.
You better go get this money.
You know, shout out to LB, because me and LB met on the pavement running through Black Girls Run chapter in our neighborhood. We used to run every morning.
Right.
She had came out with her book, and so I reached out to her. I was like, and she was like, you know how to do it, do it. And I was like, I did it for myself though. I ain't done it for anybody else. And then by that time, I had started coaching with Kendall Ficklin, and he was just like, if people are asking you, do it. So all three of these people, my husband, LB, and Kendall, was like, you need to do it. And I was like, no. Right.
What's so funny is you started out in relationships and went into books. LB started out in books and
in relationships.
That's hilarious.
She sure is. And so, so I went on that 2-week period of fasting. And I was like, okay, well, this isn't what I want to do, but this is what I hear you saying. So at this point, I have nothing to lose, because what I'm doing isn't working anyway. Right. So I had to pivot, because I was like, well, how do I pivot? Because I've been talking about relationships. I was like, bump it. I'm just going to do it. So I started talking about publishing your book, or writing your book. The floodgates started opening. Like, I started getting publishing clients. My coach, Kendall, at the time, started sending me clients from his membership community. And people literally were gravitating to me. And then when I created my program, my course, the floodgates opened.
Wow.
And I was just like, oh my gosh. And in that, I realized this is what you're supposed to been doing all along. Because this is what you've been doing. You've been teaching English for 12 years. You've been a school-wide writing coach. You've worked district level with, you've been doing this. You've been talking about essays when in college. You've been asked to do keynotes since you were in college. You've been doing this. I've been preparing you for this for the past 10 to 12, 15 years, and you didn't even realize it.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Because there's some people that's watching this right now, and it's something that they've been doing, but for some reason they're fighting it.
Because it doesn't look like the vision of what you want to do,
right.
But you've been graced to do that very thing. And so you'll find success when you just trust God and roll with it, because you're graced to do it.
All right, so you realize this is your lane. What do we do now? Because somebody's like, yo, I know it. I can feel her 100%. What do I do now?
You go forth and you do it, and you figure it out along the way. Like, that's what I did. And the thing about it was that at the time I was working. You know, I was working, still as a teacher. Yep. I was married. Okay, appreciate it. I was married, still am married. Have children, small children. So I had to figure it out around all of my other obligations, which I think for a lot of men in the entrepreneurial space, you guys a lot of times just do what you do. But I was coming at it from a different perspective. I was a wife and a mom of small children, so I literally had to figure it out. And I figured a lot of it out through assessing what was working, what wasn't working, and making pivots. One of the major things was that when I got frustrated, I just didn't give up. Yeah. I continued to pray for guidance, continued to move forward, figure it out, and then I also invested in coaching. when I wanted to grow in certain areas of my business, I invested coaches for that. I did the work, and then I kept it moving. And so over time, one of the things that I always do is that I always look at where I am yearly. So I do a year in review. Yeah. Where am I now versus where I was this time last year? If I'm in the same space, my money's the same, my circle is the same, I haven't grown. So my goal year after year is to not only grow personally and developmentally, but also grow in my business. Where's my business now versus 6 months ago or versus last year? What have I done now? What changes have I made? Do I enjoy the work that I'm doing, or is it stressing me out? You know, what books have I read? Have I gained weight? Have I lost weight? Like, what changes do I need to make? Wow. Every year I need to be becoming a better person, a better wife, a better mom, a better business owner.
So what is it that you specifically help people with? Well, actually, so let's go back when you first started helping people, because that got frustrating for a while. You're on the same path, just scaling that concept. So what were you helping people with first?
At first, I was specifically providing publishing services, meaning that if someone wanted to publish a book, then I provided services to do that for them. Right.
And so they come with an idea, you say, okay, this is how you're going to write it, this is the direction, stuff like that?
They already had their books written, oftentimes. So these were people, and I only worked with nonfiction authors. I didn't want urban fiction, I didn't want romance, I didn't take children's books. I turned down a lot of money because I stayed true to this particular niche. Yeah. And so I totally lost my train of thought, but I provided publishing services. So if someone already had their book finished, or they knew they were going to be finishing it within a month or two, and they wanted publishing services, they wanted more personalized services, along with some coaching, then I would provide that. So that's what I did. I made the pivot, though, into coaching, consulting, training, and speaking.
So what was your best year in doing that, in terms of like financially?
Last year.
But you switched from publishing. You don't do publishing anymore, right?
But
last year was your last year. Okay,
yes,
gotcha.
Last year.
Okay.
Last year, I think, might have been my third year publishing, and we hit well over 6 figures last year.
Wow, that's awesome. 3 years. 3 years, you can have an idea, stay focused, stay in a lane, because I hear you say it a couple times. Not only do you stay in your lane of publishing books, you stayed in the lane within that of nonfiction.
Yes.
How do you turn down that bread for the people that's watching? Like,
because it wasn't you got to be in it to really make impact and not just for the money. Yeah. You know, like, I could publish children's books and all that. I could do that probably easily, but it's going to take a lot more work from my team to do all these different projects. And it's just like, why? Like, I know that I can work with this person to teach them, to help them publish their book, and then teach them how to build a course from their book, or teach them how to create speaking topics and speak from their book, and actually go, even if you go into paid speaking engagements, because now you have a course, turn that speaking engagement into a 5-figure engagement, because now you figured out how to pull clients from that speaking engagement. Gotcha. Like, I can teach you how to write this book and turn it into a business. The same thing that I felt God say to me: teach people how to write their book and build their business. I can teach you how to do it because I've done it and I've helped others do it.
Gotcha. So now you're pivoting from I'm going to do it, like you give me your idea, I put it together, to teaching empowering other people, which I think is more noble too, because you could pay me to do it, but if you want to do it again, you want to write another book, you got to come back and pay me again.
Exactly.
But right now, you're empowering people to go out and write as many books as they want to.
Exactly, because once you know the process, once you know the system that I teach my clients, you can quickly write a book. And then you'll have the tools and the team to be able to publish it on your own. So now you're not depending on anyone to do it for you. And now you'll know how to monetize it. Not just one book, but any book that you want to write. You know, I was getting paid, but at the same time it was a crutch, because most authors want to write more than one book. You know, and so what is that going to be? Are you going to keep paying someone thousands of dollars every time you want a new book out? Or would you rather just make the upfront investment so that you can learn how to do it yourself? And then if you decide to hire someone after that, now at least you know what to expect.
Yeah,
Like,
sure.
you're not going to be taken advantage of. You know what to expect. You know what questions to ask. You know how the process should go.
Let me ask you, is this pivot from I think I need to scale my business, or did it come from fatigue? Because working with a bunch of clients, especially in this, because you were kind of just telling me, people will write it, and the crazy thing is while you're telling me, I'm that type of client. Like, I'm like, this is what I want. And then you give me what I want, and it don't give me the feeling. I'm like, all right, let's go this direction. And you're like, David, you better sit down somewhere. So was it more so fatigue, saying, I feel like my time could be better served in a different capacity, or, it's time for me to scale, or a little bit of both?
It was a little bit of both. I knew that if I was going to continue scaling my company, like, I already had a remote team of 3 designers, 5 editors. Yes, 3 designers and 5 editors, and 1 assistant, 2 at one, but 1 assistant. And so I knew that if I was going to continue to scale, I was going to have to bring on more people. And the payroll every month was 5 figures. And I was just like, I don't want to continue doing this, And then there was also, I wasn't managing projects, I was project managing people. So I found a lot of our time, energy, and effort literally going into billing, having to contact these people because their cards declined. What do we do now because this person has decided that they want to cancel their contract, Now we got to refer back to the contract. Are we going to hold them to it, or are we just going to release them? Like those type of things. This person has paid, but we've emailed them 5 times, 10 times. They still haven't sent over their forms. They still haven't sent us the manuscript. We were supposed to be done 6 months ago. Like, it becomes, that was the exhausting part of it, where you realize that what I was saying earlier, when you have the keys of success, but you're still not successful, I'm doing it for you, but you're sabotaging your own progress. So
Wow.
I definitely moved more into the coaching, consulting, and training space. I mean, and even in terms of scaling, growing and scaling. In order to scale, we were going to have to bring on more people, and I just didn't want to do that. Yeah. So I figured out a way to help more people, be more impactful, as well as keep more of my money. And do it with half of the time and energy, and all is well in the world.
Wow, so. I love it. So just a couple more questions. You are an entrepreneur, and your husband's not, like full-time entrepreneurship. Right. And I have a similar story. So when I first started dating my wife, she was like, I love my job. And I'm like, cool, that's what's up. And I was like, but there's no way you're gonna be around this and not want to be an entrepreneur in some capacity. Like, I just can't see it happen. She's like, nope, I'm straight. And she literally just quit her job a couple of weeks ago. Like entrepreneurial.
To her, right.
Because she's around it so often. So you being an entrepreneur for the last few years, he's seen you quit your job, stuff like that. How is that relationship between entrepreneur, non-entrepreneur? How was it initially?
Oh, gosh. Initially, it was rocky.
Really?
Like, just to be totally honest, and at first he wasn't on board. He wasn't fully, he supported me in the way that he would support me, but he wasn't fully on board because he didn't understand it. Because when we got married, I was in school working on my 3rd degree, getting my specialist in educational leadership. So the whole plan was for me to go into administration, become an assistant principal or an academic coach, which is what I'm doing now, my consultant anyway. That was the plan. And here I come with these dreams totally. And he's just like, hold up, wait, this isn't what we agreed. This isn't what I agreed on when I married you. Like, you talking about quitting your job. You're talking about all the, I don't know, you have this pipe dream, all this, and, it was just, no. It was some contention, off and on for quite some time.
Did it discourage you or drive you, or a little bit of both?
Well, you can't argue your way into helping anyone understand you. You just have to do the work. You got to do the work. And so, we would get into disagreements, and I would just still do the work. He would make comments sometimes, and I would still just do the work. Despite how I felt, despite, oh, I don't feel supported. I don't care. This is what I know I've been led to do, so I got to focus in and do it. And after the first year, when he started seeing the income change a little bit, he was like, okay, but still, and it's a security issue because we have children and all of that. And so my husband's great because without him, I would not have been able to as confidently make the jump into full-time. Because even when I made the jump into full-time entrepreneurship, I was at 6 figures in my business. I was making 3 times as much in my business than I was on my job, but still it was just like, I'm quitting my job. This is all I've known for 12 years. I've worked so hard getting 3 degrees. I've worked and I'm letting it go. I cried every day for almost 4 weeks and my husband was right there. But it was his support along with, his job that allowed me to say, okay, well, I can do this. And I know I at least have something to fall back on. But when I made the jump, 3 months later, I had my first 5-figure month and haven't had anything less than that in the past 2 years.
Awesome.
And so that's just kind of how it worked out. And so he comes from a family of railroaders, like his great-grandfather, his dad, and he works for the railroad too. So he makes a nice income. But even he's told me recently, you've inspired me because I see that if something happens, I need to have my own thing to fall back on. And so he's been studying real estate. He's been getting his ducks in a row. He talks about his dreams every single day.
Awesome.
And so,
And what if you gave up on yours? You know what I mean?
The word, I go to and it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy. But the word says, that a woman can win over her husband, not by talking, but through her actions. And so at some point, I just shut up and I did the work. I did the work.
Beautiful. Well, look, I definitely want to just add some value because we know about who you are, and I want you to add some value. So let's say somebody wants to write a book. They got a story. They haven't even started. It's in their head. What are the first 3-5 steps that you would give them right now to turn off this video and get to work?
So it's not even about. I wouldn't even give them any steps. This is what I would tell you to do. If you have a story and you want to write a book, why should you share your story? Like, who wants it and who's going to care? I'm going to ask you, how does your story impact others? So how will you sharing your experience help someone to get a result in their life or in their business?
Sometimes their answer is delusional, though. I mean, it's like not delusional, but from their perspective. Like, well, I went through this, and I want to help people by telling my story. And when people hear my story, it will help them. But it's not necessarily. I've noticed because I had a publishing company too, and it was just. But
that's why.
Too much.
That's why I get asked very specific questions, like what I ask. What is the result? So I would have you to, if you're thinking about writing a book or sharing your story, sharing your expertise, what is the #1 result that your readers should learn by the time they get to the end of your book? You have to be able to answer that. That's going to help you get some clarity. And so what problem is your book solving? So these type of questions take it beyond just sharing my story and helping people. Because if you even say, I want to help people, how do you want to help them? In what way do you want to help them? Why is this important for you to help them in this manner? And that's when it goes back to their story. Well, because I overcame this, and I want to show people how to gain the confidence to leave a relationship. And I was like, now we're cooking. You want to use your book to help people increase their confidence to leave toxic relationships. That's the result.
I love it.
So it's just so before you even pick up a pencil, ask yourself these questions. Who is my book for? And it's not for everybody. It's for one audience because you need to write your book as if you're talking to one person. Who is your book for? What is the goal of the book? So by the time the reader gets to the end of the book, what's the #1 thing that I want them to learn and accomplish? And why does this matter? And once you answer those 3 questions, then we can actually start peeling back the onion, so to speak. You know, peeling off the layers of the onion to determine how we're going to get it done.
Gotcha. So talk to me about the person who has a book and they've already exhausted their friends and family. They sold their 200, their 3, whatever, how many they did, and now we're at a standstill because every author gets there. Right?
It's about a 30 to 60-day period after
Oh,
launch.
for sure, for sure.
Where it goes quiet.
They're like, I need to do something else. Like, yeah, what do you say to that person?
Now, so this is where marketing comes in. So you have to be able to clearly answer those 3 questions that I just asked, because now you have to actually start speaking to your market. So it's being able to determine, how can this book be used? Who needs this? Who needs the information in my book? Where can I find them? What organizations have the people who need this information? What schools have the students who need this information? How can I connect with them? And so then that's when you start pulling out content. You go into chapter 1, okay, well, these are 3 solid speaking topics that I can pull from chapter 1. I can go and give a 30-minute or 60-minute training seminar or keynote, and now I can funnel you or draw you into my program or workshop based on this. But if you can't answer those initial 3 questions, you won't even be able to do that.
That's
You'll just be at crickets, which is why you have a lot of self-published authors who can't do anything with their books because the foundation isn't solid. It's not established.
Wow, awesome. Well, look, I know I want to say thank you too, because I think your story is just powerful for the person who has a job. They're on a path, but it's something on the inside of them that's saying, I know that's what I dreamed about, but for some reason, I don't feel it right now. Can you imagine, like, think about the person that they had a dream since college to be this thing, and they become it, and there's pressure to keep going on that path even though something's changed on the inside of them. How do you fight that?
I had to change. Even people at my job could see it. My principal came to me. She said, something in you has changed. And I was just like, I don't know.
Do you feel pressure to keep on that path? Because, all my family teachers, I've been telling people this is what I want to do.
Yeah, especially after I had gotten my degree, my specialist degree in leadership. I was like, I have my degree in leadership. Now I just got it. I've paid $25,000 for it. So what am I going to, are you just going to just totally, throw it away to go after this dream? There's the societal pressure. There is the fear of the unknown, but when you know that you've been called and you can feel it, and then you not only feel it, don't just go off a feeling. You have to have a proven product. I was already making money. So I wasn't just going to make the jump and not make money, have money, because I had a family. So the fact that I was already generating income, so I knew that I had something. I just had to figure out how to really streamline it and blow it up.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, look, give me your, I like to make predictions on this line, because I want you to make a prediction right now to where you feel like you're going to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years, so that in 2025, I can play this and say, I remember Jasmine said she was going to be doing this, and look, she's doing it. So 5 to 10 years from now, where do you think you'll be?
5 to 10 years from now, I will have a multi-million-dollar coaching, consulting, and training business. I'll be teaching teachers how to become the best version of themselves and just do better in the classroom through being themselves, but I'll also be helping authors all around the world. I love what I do. And I'll be traveling with my family, My husband and I will have our multi-units. My children will be happy, healthy, whole, emotional, spiritually. They'll have their own businesses too.
What if they don't want to be entrepreneurs?
They do. They have no choice.
We don't work for people around here. Child?
No choice. I'm already putting it into my 8-year-old's head.
Wow.
Yeah, so just through exposure and opportunities.
I love it.
They want to do more of what they see.
Yeah.
So you put them around other people, they're going to want to do it. So at some point it's like, my mom's talking again. Well, let me show you, let me put you around other kids who are doing it too.
That's a fact. I love it. All right, well, please let everybody know where they can find you and why they need to be finding you.
All right, you can find me at www.jasmine, it's Jasmine spelled the regular way, JasmineWomack.com. I'm also on Instagram at the Jasmine Womack, and Facebook and YouTube is author Jasmine Womack. And so you definitely need to find me for your daily dose of inspiration and writing and coaching strategies.
I love it. I love it. All right, give us one gem that you want to tell the people so they can have the best year they've ever had in their life.
Honestly,
even though you
give
dropped
it all.
like 30 of them this
For me,
interview.
honestly, my faith was a cornerstone. So, you know, when you do things in your own wisdom, that's when you fail. Give it all to God. You know, when you feel God telling you to do something, I don't care what it looks like or what people are saying, find the strength within to do it anyway, and the path will become clear as you continue to walk it.
There it is. Make sure you follow Jazz and her journey. Make sure you send her a DM. Say, I love this interview. If it helps you, send her a DM, talk to her. Definitely, if you have a story that you know needs to get out to the world, make sure you reach out to her and she can help you. All right?
Most
We are
def.
out of here. Peace.